A lot of this fight is all about the mind game between Ahsoka and the Magistrate. In order to figure out what your character's objective is.
That's why I'm like, yeah, both of us.
Enola is looking down at the Hey friends! John here, and welcome to The Martial Actor. Today I, a black belt, will be reacting to Ahsoka Tano versus the Magistrate from The Mandalorian. Let's dive right in. Okay, so Ahsoka's sneaking into the Magistrate's palace. Now, the woman that they got to play the Magistrate, her name is Lee Inosanto. She's actually the goddaughter of Bruce Lee. Her father was a friend and pupil of him, which is really cool. And she's a prolific stunt person in her own right. She's been doing stunts for forever. She's been in a ton of stuff. And in fact, she used to double for Sarah Michelle Gellar and Buffy, which is pretty cool. Now, this scene particularly reminded me a lot of early Star Wars. It's very samurai-esque. It reminds me a lot of Kurosawa and the Hidden Fortress. And it actually also reminds me a lot of the duel between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul in the animated series. So check that out if you haven't seen it. It's really good. Now, you can see that a lot of this fight is all about the mind game between Ahsoka and the Magistrate. They test each other out, they feel each other out and see what the other is capable of in like a very mind gamey kind of way, which is pretty cool to see. So this stance in particular is a very kung fu bow staff stance. Diana Lee is holding the staff like a bow staff, and she's got her hand open on the top. Now that's very common when you're holding a bow staff, because when you're holding a staff like that, you're usually using it to block an incoming overhead attack. When you're blocking an attack, you don't want to curl your hand around the staff because you're risking your fingers getting crushed by whatever's coming in from the top. So again, seeing that open hand on the overhead stance is a really cool thing to see. And again, they're just like posturing here, and a lot of this is like a mental game. So the Magistrate starts, and you can see this frame is so good because Diana Lee's body is creating a diagonal line from the back of her heel to the tip of the spear, which is exactly what you want to see because it means she's using the weapon as an extension of her body, which is exactly right. I love seeing that. And then Ahsoka counters. And you see that they were like testing each other's skill, testing each other's will in this fight. So the Magistrate comes in, Ahsoka does a double overhead block, and then we go to these flurries. And this choreo isn't that difficult per se, but it's evoking such a cool mood. Again, like this fight was all about the mise en scène, and so that was a good flip from that stunt double. And then the Magistrate comes in and disarms Ahsoka. So the Magistrate kind of thinks she's winning, thinks she's got the upper hand, and then Ahsoka switches to her reverse grip, which is the iconic Ahsoka grip. And as soon as she does that, Ahsoka goes on the offensive, and the fight is basically over for the Magistrate. You can see that the Magistrate's trying to defend all these strikes, it's not working, and then Ahsoka disarms the Magistrate and the fight is over.
Where is your master? Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?
And especially with this last frame here, I think they were really trying to evoke a certain mise en scène, a certain atmosphere, a certain feel for this scene, and I think they really accomplished it. So yeah, I think when it comes to that scene, I was really hoping that we would see a lot of aggressive, acrobatic movement from Ahsoka, because that's what we see in the Star Wars animated series. She uses the dual lightsabers, and she's very aggressive, and she's always flying all over the place. Now, after watching it, I think they leaned the other way, but I think that that was the right choice, and I think that for two reasons. One, Rosario Dawson is not a trained fighter, so giving her advanced choreography that's out of her skill set, out of her wheelhouse, would not be good. It would look bad, and it would bring the entire scene down. So I think they gave her choreography that she could do as an actress, and it ended up looking good. The second thing is they were working with the prosthetic. Now, I know a lot of people were up in arms about how Ahsoka is a full-grown Togruta and her head tail should be bigger than what they are in The Mandalorian. However, when you're working with a prosthetic, any prosthetic really, but especially a prosthetic on your head, it messes with the way that you can move, and it messes with the things that you can do as an actor. It changes the way that your body moves, and it's difficult to work with. I think a really good example of this is Jonathan Groff in Hamilton. A lot of people really love how he walks with the crown, and they think that it's a really interesting character choice, when in reality, he had to learn how to walk that way because the crown was so heavy that it kept on falling off of his head. That was just a crown, and he was just walking. Rosario Dawson is working with a full-blown prosthetic headpiece, and she's doing way more than walking. She's fighting, which involves complicated footwork, complicated movement, and so that's not something that is going to be easy to do with any type of prosthetic. So I think the designers sacrificed some of the height in order to make a piece that still represented Ahsoka as a character, yet was still something that Rosario as an actress could work with and move in order to make this fight scene work. If you're working with a prosthetic that is too big or too unwieldy, it could increase the risk of injury to either yourself or your partners. And as an actor, I think that safety is number one when it comes to fight scenes. So I don't mind that they did it. I think it ended up looking good. And I think Rosario Dawson and Diana Lee both did an amazing job. And it ended up evoking a feeling that was very akin to the rest of The Mandalorian. So yeah, I think it looked good. And that's it for today. So take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you next time. She's a double for Sarah Michelle Gellar. Okay, testing to make sure everything is recording.